Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County ADAMH, Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I'm Paul Jasson. Nice to have you with us today as we broadcast and telecast from the lobby downtown of Fairfield Federal. We appreciate your being with us today, and we hope we have an interesting and a show that gives you something to think about as we move forward. As we tape today, it's a kind of a cloudy fall day, and it's cool, so we know that the weather, the seasons are changing, so we'll keep an eye on that. Our first show today is an organization I haven't had much contact with on the show, so it's a pleasure to do that. And let me tell you a little bit about them, just a little bit. It's the ADAMH board, which is about 50 yards across the street from us as we speak right now. But the ADAMH board, what they do, and this is their mission, and it's on their website, good website, says to promote healing, support recovery, provide prevention and treatment services of mental health and addiction disorders within our community. That's a lot of words. That's a word salad as far as I'm concerned. So if you're like me, maybe you don't know what the ADAMH board does and what they stand for, and they've got some big news that we'll talk about in a little bit, but I thought it'd be the time to have the person on to talk about that, and that person is with us today. Marcy Fields is the Executive Director of ADAMH. Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you're here.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
I figure if anybody can explain that, I hope it's you.
All right.
What exactly is ADAMH?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Thank
because
you.
Many people don't know. ADAMH stands for Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board, and we are a county department. So we do serve all of Fairfield County, and it's our job to fund, plan, and monitor or evaluate behavioral health services in Fairfield County.
Well, about the only thing I knew about ADAMH is where you're located.
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, that was the Kresge building.
Yes,
and Kresge
I've
was
heard
here
that.
when I was a kid. And then the Lancaster City Schools had their offices there for a decade or so, but they were there. And every now and then I'll see a levy that
Yes.
I've always voted for, but I never know what I've really voted for. I just know it's a good thing, what you do. So and it passes, and so that's a good thing. So I didn't realize you were a county board. I didn't realize you were a county agency.
We are. Similar to the Board of DD, we have our own appointed board, so we're a little different than, say, the Utilities Department.
Mm-hmm.
We're a little more independent, but we are considered a governmental agency, so we're a public entity. And a lot of people don't know what ADAM is because we're the entity behind the curtain, kind of. Mm-hmm. We're funding the agencies in the community doing the services. And we actually have 13 network of care providers, which are our main agencies that we fund services with. And it's really changed over the years. I worked for the ADAM board once before in the late 90s, early 2000. And at that time, we did a lot of paying for clinical services. We matched Medicaid, so it was very narrowly defined what we did. And the planning piece of our job, we didn't do that much because we had to put this money into the clinical services. Now, with Medicaid expansion and more insurance opportunities out there, we've really been freed up to truly plan for our local community. So in the Ohio Revised Code, that's our mandate. We should be looking at our local community. We serve Fairfield County and only Fairfield County. So our job is to look at our local community, decide what we need, and then try to fund those services. So now we can be really creative, and we've got all kinds of grant-funded programs out there. We provide some funding to Big Brothers Big Sisters. We have some parent education groups at a couple of our agencies. We have we're just getting ready to have a brand new contract that'll help senior citizens in our community. Wow. So we have the whole age range. We have some prenatal support and coordination groups. So we really have agencies that serve from prenatal all the way, all the way through senior citizens.
What would be the program for senior citizens?
So we this month, so it's breaking news, this month at our board meeting, we'll be approving a new contract with Meals on Wheels, and they are going to have a support staff, therapists, clinicians that go into people's homes and provide senior support. So they can bill insurance and Medicare for the clinical counseling, but there's a lot that they do to support senior citizens that's not billable to insurance. Just that helping work with the family, being sure they're linked to the resources in the community, providing education, outreach, and those things aren't billable to insurance. So we're going to cover those.
So these will be the Meals on Wheels workers.
So
that
Meals on Wheels workers.
Some training.
Yes, so they'll be triaging and screening seniors that might be in need of some help, and then they will subcontract with some clinicians that will go out and go into the homes and provide those services. So if there's actual counseling needed, they'll provide that, but more importantly, we'll be paying for those extra support services that insurance doesn't pay for.
That seems like just a natural pairing with
Yes.
Meals on Wheels, who have access to mostly senior citizens'
Exactly.
homes and these people. So it'll be them that will locate the problem or see a problem and then perhaps focus on that.
Yes, and in fact, we did have this program once before with one of our clinical agencies, and they did work with Meals on Wheels, who would screen people and provide referrals. Unfortunately, in the behavioral health system, there's a real lack of workers right now. So our clinical agency had a hard time staffing it. So now we're going to contract directly with Meals on Wheels, and they have some clinicians really interested in doing this work that they'll subcontract with. And we'll pay for the extra support that insurance won't pay for.
Now, is this shortage of workers anything to do with COVID, or it's just a timing thing? It's just shortage right now?
Well, that's a great question. It has been a shortage for a while now, but COVID really escalated it.
Kind of exposed it a little bit. Now we are short.
Yes. So most mental health, counseling, behavioral health agencies are having a really hard time finding staff, and it's become very competitive. So they all are losing staff to each other and then having to rehire. So that's going to be a real priority for the ADAMH board the next year or two, is how we can help the system.
Did COVID enhance your services? Have you had more call for your services during or now perhaps post-COVID a little bit?
Post-COVID, definitely the demand has increased.
Okay.
I think during COVID, because so many people were in their homes and quarantining, honestly, our agencies had a hard time with demand. There wasn't as much demand, I think, because people had withdrawn. But as we came out of COVID, we kind of predicted that it would happen, and it did. Demand has really skyrocketed, and many people are reaching out for help. And we are working really hard with our agencies to be able to provide the services and the support to people that need it.
With Marcy Fields. Marcy is the Executive Director of ADAMH. Just we can turn around and see it. You didn't get lost coming over here today,
I did not. It was an easy travel.
Very good. So we're talking to her about that. But one of the things we really wanted to focus on was they had some big news. I just heard this a couple weeks ago from Mary Snyder here at the bank. Mary told me about this. It's called the Starlight Center over on 336 East Locust, which isn't really that far from here, a couple miles as the crow flies that way. This is big news for you.
Yes. Probably back in 2018, 2019, the ADAMH board did a series of community forums, surveys, talked to their providers, talked to the people they were serving in the general community. What's lacking in our system, and what really rose to the top was some form of crisis stabilization, something in that in-between world where somebody wasn't able to get the help or the safety they needed through just general outpatient services, but didn't really meet that criteria to go to the hospital and something that intense. So that really rose to the top. People said, we really need this in our community. And then soon after that ball got rolling, Fairfield Medical Center unfortunately had to close their 6 psychiatric beds, which made the need even greater to have something close to home.
Now what do you do?
Right. So right now, if anyone needs more than just your general outpatient going or having somebody come to you once or twice a week, the only real option is to go to a hospital out of our county. So
which
most people go to Columbus.
Maybe.
Yeah. So I mean, it's far away for family. It's far away from the resources they may need connected to when they're discharged. And in some cases, they might not really need that high a level of care, but it's the only option. So that's what happens.
At Fairfield Medical, is that a staffing, money issue, something along those lines?
I think it was. I think it just became. Unfortunately, behavioral health services are hard to provide, and oftentimes providers end up losing money on it. And I think Fairfield Medical Center was wonderful to our community, continued that
They've
unit
always had that.
for years beyond, and they always lost money on that
Sure,
unit, and
sure.
it was always a service to the community
Yes.
to keep it up and running. I think they got to the point where physically they would have had to move the unit or do something drastic to continue to operate it, and it was a time where they
didn't
had to
work out.
discontinue it. Yeah.
So now we have the Starlight Center, which is, I guess, actually under construction right now. Do we have an ETA on that, when that might come about?
We hope to have it open. Well, we hope to have it complete and ready to open by the end of March.
Okay.
But it is under construction right now. Because our community said so strongly to us, this is what we need. We need some sort of stabilization
Get
center.
moving.
Get moving on it. We did pass a levy.
I was going to ask, was this part of that levy?
Yes, it was. In
Okay.
fact, this is sort of what motivated the levy.
Yeah.
The fact that the community said we really need this. So the ADAMH board put a levy on the ballot, and the community passed it, which was really, really appreciated. So that's what we use the levy for. We're working on constructing it, and then of course we will also participate in operational costs because in Ohio right now there's not a great way to fund crisis stabilization through Medicaid or insurance. So the ADAMH board will have to continue to pay for some of the operational costs as well. But we're really excited about getting it up and running.
It sounds like it's a real need.
It is.
And it sounds like, sometimes governmental things can move slowly. I'm sure you know that,
Yes,
if anyone knows
yes.
that. Even though maybe it's a great cause and we really need it, sometimes those things just don't move through the
Absolutely.
system. But it sounds like this, once a need was found and sort of laid out there, how can we do it? It's kind of moved along now, and by March could be realization of this.
Absolutely, yes. We're very excited about getting it up and running. It did take a while to find the right location, to get the right plans in place, but it is on its way now, and we're very excited about it.
And as I understand it, this Starlight Center will be the only one that does what it does in the entire Fairfield County.
That's correct. We've never had this type of facility in Fairfield County. We'll be able to address both people with mental health crisis and people with urgent substance use needs. And we have never had that in Fairfield County, so this will be new for us, and it will allow the people in Starlight Center to really get connected to outpatient services while they're there. There's a huge gap when somebody goes to Columbus for services or another county even further away, and then coming back home and getting connected to local services. A lot of times it doesn't happen because of the distance. But now being right here in the community, our outpatient providers can come into Starlight Center and meet the person, plan with the person, set up appointments, and we feel like that handoff and that connection to ongoing services once they're discharged is really going to be a lot stronger than it is now.
So to get connected to the Starlight Center after March when it's open, you come through the natural order of things through ADAMH, and then if it's appropriate, that's where you're sent.
Absolutely. We have two of our agencies will be providing services there. New Horizons Mental Health Services, who already is our crisis provider. They already have a mobile team in Fairfield County that's available 24/7. They'll go to the person who's in crisis. So they will also run the mental health floor at the Starlight Center. There'll be 8 beds there, and they can assess people. They'll have counselors, clinicians, peer supporters, doctors and nurse practitioners on hand there who can do a full assessment and decide what the person needs. And if Starlight Center is where they need to be, then they'll get them admitted, and probably from mental health, probably a 3 to 5 day stay. If they need something more than that, maybe their need level is higher than what Starlight can do, then they are able to facilitate moving that person to a hospital or a higher level of care that they might need.
Sounds like a pretty exciting time coming up
Absolutely.
over the winter and the spring,
Yes,
as you begin to
yes.
gear up to open the doors in March.
Yes.
Pretty exciting.
Yes, and then we'll have Ohio Guidestone providing the substance use disorder treatment on the second floor, and they'll be able to do the same thing. They'll have nurses, doctors, counselors, peer supporters. They'll be able to do an assessment. And again, if the person has more medical needs because of the substances they've been on, they'll link them directly to a medical facility, and then they can come back to the Starlight Center. But if they're eligible and ready to go, they'll get them into the Starlight Center, and they'll provide up to a 30-day stay for people with a substance use disorder. And it's all voluntary. For the people coming to the Starlight Center are coming because they want the help. They've had a recognition that things aren't going well. I need an increase of help. I need more than what I've been getting. And so they're going to be people that want to be there.
Well, it's an exciting time to kind of get things, doors open, get them moving. That's we're looking forward to that. Maybe we can get you back here after that's open.
Yeah,
we can
absolutely.
talk about how it's going and what the expectation level is. Sounds like fun.
Would love to.
Good. Marcy Fields with ADAMH is with us today, giving us an overview of ADAMH and about the new Starlight Center that will be opening next March over on Locust Street. So good. We hope the work on that is good and it continues to move
Yes.
along. We hope weather is in your favor.
Thank you. We do too.
Thanks, Marcy, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Sure. We'll be back on Fairfield Today in just a moment.
I want a doctor who listens to me.
From primary care to specialty medicine, we put your needs first by treating you like a person, not a number. Our primary care team will help you identify your healthcare needs and set goals for success, regardless of where you are in your wellness journey. We care for patients of all ages, with offices that are close to you. Whatever you're searching for, you can find it at Fairfield Medical Center.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Greetings from Fairfield DD. We are excited to share the joys of the fall season with you. As we move into cooler weather, we hope to see you at Football Friday nights and the county fair. As you enjoy the season of changing colors, we also want to remind you of the change we hope to see. We pursue a vibrant community where everyone leads a fulfilling life and everyone makes meaningful contributions. Don't forget to stop by our social purpose enterprise, Art and Clay on Main and Square 7 Coffee House, to paint a new piece for your table this season or enjoy a handcrafted fall beverage.
You walked down the aisle and promised happily ever after. Sometimes happily ever after means ending a relationship. We know the conversations are not easy. Deciding what's best for you, your children, and your next steps takes work and communication. At Dagger Law, we know there are no monsters in a divorce, only people trying to find their way. Local, trusted, experienced. Dagger Law.
Welcome back to Fairfield Today. I want to thank Marcy for joining us today. We appreciate her coming here and giving us an update on ADAMH and all that's going on over there on Locust Street on the new Starlight Center. It's a pretty exciting time. We'll get her back when that's open. We'll talk some more. We'll kind of shift gears a little bit and go from social services things to one of the military events that we like to talk about. And that's the Freedom's Never Free event that will be occurring November 2nd through the 5th. So coming up very soon. Here, and it happens out at the fairgrounds, as most things do. The fairgrounds is a popular place for all events because it's such a wonderful location. But November 2nd through the 5th, Freedom's Never Free, the 19th year that this is occurring. So it's really turned into such a big event and such an important event in the life of the military, things coming around. A couple of fellas to talk about that. Bill Reed and Larry Smith are with us today. Boys, thank you for joining us. Here we are, almost showtime again. It seems like a year has gone by. It seems to go by a little more quickly every year, right?
You know, I finally understand what my dad meant when he said life is short.
Yeah. And the hamster wheel really turns fast when you get a few years on your right.
The faster it goes.
That's exactly right. So this is 19th year for Freedom's Never Free. It's out at the fairgrounds, of course, over on Fair Avenue over here, where we just recently finished up the Fairfield County Fair. It's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and a Saturday events. It's just a tremendous weekend of events coming up Wednesday through Saturday. And it all starts with the escort coming in on Wednesday around 4 o'clock. It's quite an exciting time to see that thing roll into the fairgrounds.
Right, they gather at the northbound roadside rest between Rock Bridge and Logan. And from there, they proceed up 33, get off the Broad Street exit, come up Broad Street right into the fairgrounds.
It's pretty impressive to see them rolling in the fairgrounds there.
It is. We always get a good response with that.
Yeah.
You know, the people, it's always enjoyable to watch. A lot of your veterans will be on the sidewalks and waiting for us, and when we go by, they're saluting us.
It means a lot when you do that. So Wednesday they arrive, and it's the traveling memorial. What is the theme this year of Freedom's Never Free?
We're going to have 2 memorials come in this year. Remembering Our Fallen is a traveling memorial. It's fairly new. It deals with from 9/11 and goes through the global war on terror.
Okay.
20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it consists of towers, kind of like triangle towers.
Oh.
There's over 30 of them. And on each one, there's a 10-foot high by 5-foot wide panel, and it has pictures of all those who have lost their life. And
And that'll be there all weekend.
Yes. And also this year is another fairly new memorial, is the Gold Star Families Traveling Memorial.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. So we're gonna have those 2 come in this year.
That'd be really nice. You do a great job of acquiring these things. Each year it's something pretty special.
It's a real challenge. We get together, our meetings every month, and we start looking at what's available, and it's a challenge to look at it, and then you got to work our schedule into their schedule. So you have to really get started early.
Yes.
If you wait too late, you're not going to get anything.
You're not going to make the cut. So they'll be arriving at 4 o'clock, and we'll have a nice opening ceremony down there. It's always nice to have some things, some events. So just a nice opening ceremony on Wednesday.
It's very enjoyable.
Yep.
And it's emotional, but it's good emotion.
And then Thursday, and this is really something I'm always very excited about, the things that go on Thursday at Freedom's Never Free. The ceremony will begin at 4 o'clock, and there'll be a ceremony up in the Ed Sands building. It'll start there, and then that'll move along pretty quickly, because I understand you need to get down to the posting of the colors, which is really in the parking lot where all the cars are parked for the fair. That's down there. It's an impressive sight. That's where the posting of the colors for everybody that will have a flag, and I understand there's more this year than there were last year.
273, I believe you said.
Right, 273 flags this year.
Wow. And these are things that were purchased online. People can do it. And I think you wanted to talk about, and that's, I always like that when they see it. People can come and, as a family member, post a flag for perhaps somebody that is no longer with us.
Any family that has had a flag either purchased by one of the veterans groups for a loved one, or if they purchased a flag for a loved one. Not all of these people have passed.
Sure.
Many of these flags were bought by parents who had someone serving, and
son
they want to
might be
honor
your
their son or their daughter. But we really enjoy having them come out, and we invite them to come out, and we will, when their name is called, which we put you to work for that.
That's good.
When their name is
getting
called,
to be real work anymore.
We will walk up and take them out, and they can post the flag of their loved one.
Well, I'm always honored to read those names, because it's a moving ceremony, and then I know it's moving for the people that are there to post the flags, in some cases for a fallen member, not necessarily in the war, just no longer with us right now. That means a lot to be able to do that.
Oh, it does, and it means a lot to the families to know that their loved one is recognized that way.
And then there's going to be a veterans pinning ceremony. Is that still done through hospice?
Correct.
Is that now? Will that be after the flag ceremony? So there'll be a brief ceremony, move down, get all the flags posted, and then come back there, and then there'll be a pinning ceremony, and the silent drill team is always performing.
That's always
sort of
fun
the
to
sequence
watch.
of events. So hospice is again involved, and they're very nice to get involved. They have some nice pin. Well, in fact, I think I have mine on right now. I think I'm wearing mine from maybe last year. I got it when they did that. So it's a good combination the way it's worked out.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people have partnered with us, and that's wonderful.
And one, I think, before it gets away, I don't want it to slip away, something we can mention here is Toys for Tots.
Right, that's new this year.
Yeah.
It's the first time for Freedom.
Now, how is that tied in?
The Marines will be there, and anyone who wants to bring in a toy for a child, a new
collection
toy.
point.
Right, the Marines will be there Thursday through Saturday,
Okay.
collecting toys for Tots.
The whole time, from
Yeah.
Thursday through Saturday.
I believe they'll also take cash donations too.
Oh, I imagine they
because,
will.
Yeah, that's really a wonderful project the Marines have been doing.
They've
for a
taken
long,
that
long
on,
time.
and it's just blown up to be just a nationwide event.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's they do a wonderful job.
Oh, yeah. So that's Thursday. That'll be Thursday through Saturday. They'll be available. So now we've talked about Wednesday and Thursday, and again it goes through Friday and Saturday. Now, or Wednesday and Thursday. Now Friday is the Day of Remembrance down there, and that's Friday. What will that mean?
Well, Friday, one of the main things that we have is the USO dance.
Yes.
The nostalgics will come in.
Is that in Ed Sands?
Correct.
Okay.
That's always a
Yeah.
fun event.
And then you'll have a lot of displays in there. There'll be organizations that throughout, and I remember seeing some of that. Maybe even on Thursday, there'll be some people there that will have us little displays around the Ed Sands building, because that's a large building right there, and you'll have people there already.
Right.
Yeah, we have hopes that Warren Mott's is going to have a display there from Mott's Military Museum, and also a friend of mine who's been a large collector of military paraphernalia from Civil War, well, even from the Revolutionary War on. He's going to bring in a display of a lot of different things that he has collected over time. And, he's done it with us a couple of times, and I talked him into doing it because he had never ever displayed any of his stuff, and
It was just his collection.
and he really liked what we do, so he said, "Yeah, I'll participate."
I'm almost ashamed to admit this as a veteran, but I had never been to the Mott's Museum
you
up
really
there.
need to go.
I got to go there because I went on last year now, about a year ago, I went on an honor flight, number 110, and I think it was early this year, they had everybody come back who'd been on an honor flight.
Yep.
We all went up there like a reunion, and it was up at Mott's Museum, and we got to walk in there and look around.
Yeah.
I mean, one day was not nearly enough
No.
time. I had no idea that this thing, I remember when he started this many years ago, and it was just kind of his collection, his thing.
Collecting money and under little tents.
And now he's got more
fairs.
stuff than he can possibly display. I went over and looked at a thing they're just getting going with, a fire truck that was damaged in 9/11, and they're just starting to work on that. And all it takes is space and money. But this is unbelievable.
He has a lot of things from 9/11. He even has some of the replacement flooring that was never used.
Is that right?
Yeah, he has some of that. I seen when he was acquiring some of this stuff. I talked with Mott's about that. So.
Well, that's just an aside from what we're talking about. But I'd encourage any veteran or anybody that has an interest in veterans issues to go up to Mott's Museum. Was it Canal? Would you call that Canal? Groveport?
Groveport.
It's Groveport. Yeah, it's
Groveport.
Groveport.
Just look it up. It's worth the day
it's
spent.
very easy to get to.
And you might have to plan a lunch here to go a couple different days, because it is just a big place. And then Saturday, more at the Remembrance. You'll have guest speakers, and that'll be at 3 o'clock, and that is again at the Ed Sands building.
Correct.
And the drill team will be there. So you got some people lined up to talk?
Yes, they're going to have someone from Gold Star speak.
Well, that'll be tough.
Blue Star Mothers,
Yes.
someone's going to speak, and there's other guest speakers.
So this is November 2nd through the 5th, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, down at the fairgrounds. It begins at the escort arrives at 4 o'clock on Wednesday, and that's always a nice ceremony to be at and to see. And then Thursday is the pinning ceremony and the posting of the flags down there. And as I remember, those flags are there the entire weekend. 24 hours a day, it's guarded, there's lights on it. It's pretty impressive to see.
Yeah, it's grown so tremendously. I think the first year I was involved, there was less than 100 flags.
And now we're up to almost 3 times as much.
273.
3 times as much. And every year it's more and more people get wind of this, and we hope, again, there'll be information there to how to, if you don't have one for this year, how you can get one for next year. You can do it online. There's a lot of information on that. So a pretty exciting time. You have food trucks there this year?
There's food trucks, yep. So you won't go hungry.
Almost any military event, that's true. Bill Reed and Larry Smith with us. Freedom's Never Free, coming up here soon, November 2nd through the 5th. Over at the fairgrounds. From beginning to end, there are things there for everybody. But if you don't do anything else, just drive by on Columbus Street there and look over, and behind that's the mountain right there. You got the flags, the fairgrounds, and it's pretty impressive. You guys do a great job.
It takes your breath away when
It
you
does.
see all them flags.
Thanks for all you do for this. Freedom's Never Free. We appreciate it very much.
It's our honor.
Well, I know it is. Thank you. November 2nd through the 5th. Freedom's Never Free. So remember that. Get over there and see. It begins on Wednesday, November 2nd at 2 o'clock. Thank you for joining us on Fairfield Today.
Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County ADAMH, Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.